Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Let's Create the Revolution Together, a podcast about creating new ways to embody ourselves as human. If you're here, you're probably well aware of all the shifts that are happening on our planet. Maybe you go with the flow with those changes, or maybe you're struggling to find who you truly are. Either way, this space right here is for you. My name is Marigold Era. I'm an Ayurvedic wellness coach, a spiritual life coach, and a podcaster. I am here to guide you through this reality that we can call the Earth School. I strongly believe that we are here to create new ways to show up as individual and as collective, and that every experience that we encounter is an opportunity to grow and evolve. So grab yourself something to drink, make yourself comfortable, and let's jump right into the next episode. Today on Let's Create the Revolution Together, I'm super excited to present to you Velia Hernandez. She's an animal telepathist, an energetic practitioner, and a behavior modification specialist. With over 35 years of establishing deep connection with animals and her degree in psychological research, Velia has participated in and validated over 300 cases in communicating with animal telepathically and pet energy healing. So if you have a pet or maybe you're looking to adopt one, this episode is definitely for you. Velia's mission is to help pet owners to get a sense of the source of their pet's behavioral or health challenges. This often saves them trips to the vet while restoring the harmony and love between the pet and the human. As a pet owner myself, I'm super glad to hear and share with you her story today. I hope you enjoy it. Hello, hello.
Hi, Marigold. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, it's such a pleasure to have you on this podcast. All
Thank you.
right, so let's jump right into it. I
Sure.
want to hear your story. I want to start from the beginning.
Okay.
I remember when we first talked, we talked about how it started when you were quite young, your love
Mhm.
with the animals. And so let's start there. What happened?
Okay. Yes, as a child, I uh, grew up with both of my parents for some of the years, and my mother was the one who really exposed me to animals, particularly cats. I was able to just pretty much adopt any cat off the street, anyone that I found, and I would bring them home. And we loved all animals, but cats were really prominent in my childhood. And my father, he unfortunately was, since I was born, dealing with a lot of anxiety, and he had no idea how to regulate any of his emotions,
Mm,
including anxiety. And I was, I picked up a lot of his behaviors and just growing up in that environment. And however, I was able to distinguish the way I behaved towards animals and the way he behaved towards animals. And he was actually pretty. Pretty mean to them. We really did not like the way, even I, as a child, my mom and I would kind of go against him on how he treated our animals. And so I got to at least see the two worlds.
mm,
And I obviously, chose to embrace the uh, care and nurturing of animals and wanting to connect further with them. And being growing up in a pretty much an abusive home, I connected very much with the animals because I felt that they couldn't defend themselves, and
mm,
I knew what that was like. And so I had a lot of empathy for them.
mm.
And then even when I was 9, my father and my mother got a divorce, and I actually felt relieved from it. That's how intense it was.
Right.
So that actually brought relief. And then in my teenage years, I adopted two Siberian Huskies, and they were the love of my life. Both of them, Tonka and Cisco, and I actually paid for them. They were full bred Siberian Huskies. I paid $300 for each of them, and I was only 14, and it was a lot of work. It was a quite an interesting journey with them, and I have no regrets. But I will say that it is very, very difficult to handle two dogs, and especially breeds like that. And
Yes.
so I learned so much when it came to the anxiety that I adopted from my father, and the way to
Mm,
handle anxiety around these two beautiful dogs that were just so full of energy. And
right.
it was a quite a learning journey there to learn how to manipulate my energy. And I really just relied on Caesar Milan. I would watch him and his videos growing up, and so I could see that it had to do with my energy.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it was more of, how do I handle my anxiety? How do I handle that? And I never had the tools. I never had the tools to know how to reduce that. And the one thing that I learned was um, being able to be out in nature with them. Uh,
Mm,
that really gave us the opportunity to connect and to relax. And that was probably our best moments, where we were
right.
just being.
Yes.
And
So
so
how was the anxiety? How was it showing up with your dog?
So with my dogs, that's a good question. So um, I had a lot of anxiety of controlling outcomes, and so when it came to my dog's behaviors in public,
Right.
so just them pulling me,
Yes.
I was fearful of judgment
Mm,
and them jumping. It started off with that, them jumping. So I was fearful of being judged. And so um, that would escalate their behavior. And I didn't realize that at the time. And then at one point, my mother and I didn't realize how much exercise they needed. We were more used to cats, and we weren't really used to the needs of dogs, which is much different, quite different as far as their size and their strength. And so, living in Texas, it's always really hot in the summers, and my mother and I decided, well, while you're at school, while you're at work, let's put them in a room where they have air conditioning all day long.
mm,
And we didn't realize, it wasn't until I had a mentor that came over that notified me that they need more than that. They can't just have that and then go outside in the backyard. They need so much more exercise. And
mm,
this was the reasons for a lot of their behavior. They're jumping, they're pulling, and then it did come to a point to where one of them was snapping at people. And it was all because of my anxiety and the lack of exercise that I gave them. So this
yeah.
is what brought us out into nature. We Knowing that wasn't the proper way to handle these types of animals, I immediately shifted my behavior, and we started going out much more into nature. And
Mm,
this is where we connected. And so um, and so, yes, that's so I had a lot of behavioral challenges with them, and it was definitely a reflection of my anxiety, and even me not knowing that I needed to connect with nature. It wasn't just them;
yes.
it was myself. I had no idea what connecting with nature and spending hours in it would how it would bring me peace of mind.
Yes.
And so from there, I went to college, and because I had so much anxiety, I decided to major in psychology, hoping to find a solution to all of this, to regulating my emotions. And when I was in graduate school, I had a cat named Onyx, who ended up getting she started to fall to an illness,
Mm.
and we took her to the vet. We spent thousands of dollars running tests, and none of them could find what it was. And
Mm.
it was one day, we knew she was somewhat ill, but she had some antibiotics, so she was getting a little bit better. I had to go to school. I was getting ready for school. I had tests that day, and I had a presentation, and I was in the middle of my thesis, so I had a lot of stress. And I noticed she started to show neurological signs of
Mm.
an illness, of her illness, coming back. And
So what
that
was those signs? I'm just
Oh, sure.
curious. Yeah.
Sure. So what she ended up doing was she came right up to me. I was in the kitchen and she came right beside me. And so I looked towards her, and she was sitting, but she was kind of swaying in circles.
Oh,
So she
just
was
like
swaying.
that.
So she had no
Right.
balance. So immediately I knew that that was something neurologically wrong.
Mm.
The issue was that I was so overwhelmed, so overstimulated with everything that I had going on in my life. I felt the need that I couldn't deal with it at that moment.
Right.
Um, Especially since we already spent so much money and they didn't know what was going on. So I ended up making the decision of going to school that day. And during the whole day, I felt horrible, because I felt like,
Mm.
what if I come back and she's dead, she's
Yes.
passed. So I stressed out that entire day, feeling so much regret. And what really made me feel guilty about this was that, or why I felt so guilty about this, was because I was actually a neurological student at the time. And I had those criticisms in my mind of, how can you call yourself, a neuropsychologist? How can you do this if you're ignoring this behavior? And so I carried a lot of guilt when it came to that. But regardless, I came home that day, and we rushed her to the emergency vet. And because of those neurological signs, that cued the vet to know what test exactly to run. And we were able to actually pinpoint that it was kidney failure that
Right.
she was going through. And it was already close to the end, because she was already having a lot of damage to her neurons. And so I ended up losing Onyx. And after that, I really felt in a position where, first of all, how I don't want to live my life anymore being this stressed out, to where I ignore,
Right.
right, to where I ignored my loved ones and the needs of my loved ones, including my animals, and repeat
Yes.
the same cycle that my parents did. And then the second thing was, how can I give myself a little bit more power? How can I put that back in me when it comes to what happens to our pets, when for weeks we were just completely dependent on the tests that resulted in
Yes.
nothing? And it was very heartbreaking. I mean, they were even suggesting that we just put her down, and it's like, I'm not ready for that. We don't even know if
Right.
she's ready. And that seems like just a go-to solution sometimes. And so after I graduated, I found myself working in an office, highly stressed. It was a very fast-paced office as a statistician, and working overtime, and so working 40 to 50 hours a week. And I realized that because of the changes in the world that was happening, and the changes in the energies, that this was not the way I am supposed to live.
Yes.
As far as my anxiety, this is not going to help my anxiety. I have to be able to get out into nature more. I can't live enslaved to a job the rest of my
Yes.
life, and that how much that's contributing to my mental illnesses.
Mm.
And so that was the experience with Onyx, and that coming to that realization a few years later, I decided I have to look for something, and I didn't really know what, but I just so happened to come across Animal Telepathy on YouTube with Joan Ranquette, who owns the school Communication with All Life University. And so I all of a sudden found myself in this university where I was practicing communicating with animals and being trained as a remote viewer and an energy healing practitioner. And it was that entire training and going through all those case studies that really made me come to understand what emotions are
Hmm.
and understand how they work. I didn't even get this understanding under my degree of neuropsychology. I mean, I barely got an understanding, but I really got an experience, a very practical experience in this, where I can detect those subtle energies within animals and now within myself. So
Right.
it was a great journey. I'm so thrilled that I found it.
That is so awesome. And when was that? Like a couple
Yeah.
years ago? Like,
Yes. So I started the school in 2000. It was 2019, I believe. So
all
yes,
right.
I've been practicing for 3 years.
Yeah, so you were still working in that
That's right.
corporate world at the
Yes.
time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to keep all of that a secret. That wasn't anything I could talk about. But yes, I was still working in the corporate world, and then it wasn't until I realized that I took a risk. I took a big risk in leaving a big part of that and downsizing the amount of money I make, and I
Yes.
started my business. And I'm very much loving the ability to nurture the creative side of me, the part that needs the nurture, the connection to nature,
Yes.
and have a balance in life where it's not just being in automatic processes of, pay the bills, go to work, come home, cook dinner, and
Yes.
actually come to a consciousness of being able to live in the present moment with my emotions, with
Yes.
my animals.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love how you made the parallel, but like between yourself, your training, and your animal, and that this is all connected.
Yes.
I love that so much. So what
Yes.
was the breakthrough? What truly happened? Like what was the pinpoint? What happened for you to like decide that this is I'm done with the corporate world and like
Yeah.
I'm stepping outside this box? Like what happened?
Well, it was probably it was the pandemic. It was the
Right?
pandemic that did it, and I I felt that well, I mean, I have my differences in I was working for a government agency at the time, so
Yes.
I had my differences in my beliefs as far as what was going on, and um, I was in charge of the statistics of caseload and costs for vaccinations, and so
Interesting.
yeah, for Medicaid vaccinations, and so I really wasn't it wasn't aligned with my beliefs and my values anymore.
Right.
It was very heartbreaking to see that, I thought I was contributing to children's lives because I was working on Medicaid and programs like CHIP health programs for children.
Yes.
And there was a high increase in enforcement on vaccinations as well in those programs, when COVID happened. And so I found a group to support me, and I started to do my research, and I just found things that I realized that this world isn't really what we thought it was. And because of the fact that it's not, I felt that it doesn't really matter what I do then. It really doesn't matter if I take this risk to leave my job and follow a journey that many people, not even some of my own family members, believe in what I do. It doesn't really matter because it's either that or I'm stuck in a matrix that doesn't really serve me anyways.
Yes.
So
Yes, so
that was,
powerful.
yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Um, so you were talking about Caesar Milan
Yeah.
just right before, and like right now, can you explain what does it mean to like because I have a dog also. I have a husky, and I've been watching his thing, and I've been related a lot with the way he speaks about energy and the way we're acting around our dogs, and like most animal, right? But like I feel like with the dogs there are like another kind of connection. Like I used to have cats as well, but they're not like reacting the same way. Like they're not as dependent
Mhm.
on us than
Right.
dogs. And yeah, the energy thing is hard to explain, right? I know what it means,
Yes.
but can you explain it in your words?
Yes.
Cool.
I believe I can. Yes.
Awesome.
So so when it comes to influencing your pets, and it can be any pet, but particularly dogs, when it comes to influencing their behavior, or their health, it all comes down to if you are calm or at least in a state of neutrality.
Yes.
And once you are in that state, then the energetic message you're communicating to them is that they are safe. So that's the message they get, because otherwise, if you drop down into those lower vibrating emotions below neutrality, then that means stress hormones are kicking
Hmm.
in, and
Hmm.
many other chemicals that they can sense.
Hmm.
Smelling is one of them, but they can sense in different ways energetically. So once we dip down into those, then they can't trust that you can keep them safe. So they won't follow your lead. In fact, they will be more inclined to take over the situation themselves, if that
Yes.
means barking, snapping, whatever that is. So we can only reassure our pets that they are safe and that we are in charge when we are calm and in a state of neutrality.
I love this. I'm gonna tell you something. Like something happened lately.
Mhm.
And all right, so my dog, she's a husky, so she
Yes.
has like a mind of her own. And the other day, she decided that it was a good idea to jump on the table and go eat the stuff that we left on the table for
Mhm.
supper.
Mhm.
And when I realized that she did that, and she knows that she has no right to do that,
Mhm.
and so I lost my calm.
Mhm.
And since then, it was like I'd say like it was like 3 days ago. And since then, she hasn't been able to trust me. And
Oh.
I'm the one walking her, and like I'm like she's always coming to me, And like
Mhm.
I saw it so clearly this morning. She woke up, she got out, she came to see my husband, but not me.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, girl, this was your like, you did something wrong,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I did lost my calm.
Mhm.
I
Right.
was super like frustrated that she decided on her own to just jump on the table and just like pick up whatever she wants,
Yeah.
and she knows that she doesn't have the right. But yeah, I can see that like our energy is affecting them so much. And it's
Yeah.
been 3 days and she's still mad at me. She still
Yeah.
like doesn't feel safe around me. And I've been like trying to come to her like in a super calm
Mhm.
manner, but like I don't know. I don't know. She old grudges or something. Maybe.
Well, that's interesting. They don't really hold grudges. I don't
Right?
think they do. It's pretty amazing. When I communicate with animals, they are so forgiving, and it's amazing. I love that they teach us that. They
Hmm.
teach us to forgive ourselves and forgive the whole situation. I would say that if it does take her a while, um, the thing is with humans, with us, is that we don't realize when we have low vibrating emotions or those stress hormones and other chemicals. It's not just stress hormones, but other chemicals that put us in a lower vibration.
Hmm.
We don't realize it. We have so much information, data, such as social media,
Yes.
research, thinking, dreaming, all of that causes emotional fluctuations within us.
Yes.
And so we may think that we're relaxed and we're actually still carrying a little bit of those chemicals. and that's what they can kind of sense. That's what I believe they sense. And not only that, when we have any guilt around what we did, if we
Oh my
haven't
God.
forgiven ourselves, that all they know is that they don't know that you're beating yourself up. All they know is you're stressed out.
Yes. It
Yeah.
makes so much sense because after losing my calm with her, I did feel, um, I don't know, guilty, like
Yeah.
shameful a little bit, like, and just I don't like to lose my calm around her because we're her third home, so I
Mhm.
know that she's been through a lot,
Mhm.
and even though they're living in the moment and they're not like remembering,
Right.
that
That's
stuff,
right.
but you know, I I see that she's more on the anxious side
Yes.
of like yeah, her behavior, like when we walk she will be like always stressed out even though I'm super calm, but maybe I'm projecting those chemical, as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But when I feel super calm and we're walking and she's like super like alert all the time, like
Right.
she was always like that from the beginning.
Right.
And so, but it's so interesting, the chemical things. I've never heard of that, and I think it's mind blowing to think
Mhm.
about the way our emotions are interacting with our chemicals,
Yes.
and the way the animals can actually feel that,
Yeah.
sense that.
Yes.
That
And
is,
they can sense it in multiple ways. Smelling, dogs can smell it. I believe cats can too. They can smell it, but they can also feel your muscle tension, feel the
yes,
tension with when you're petting them. They can hear the fluctuations in your voice,
right.
and they can also detect eye movements that will facial expressions, little small minute facial expressions, all of that body movement. So there's a lot of information coming into them that validates that you may not be in control.
I love it. They're like, how'd you say that? Those baromotor. No, that's not the word. When I don't know the word. Sorry, I
Mhm.
don't know
That's
the
okay.
word.
Hmm.
Um, when you measure the
Barometric.
density, yes, the
Barometric.
density, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the word. So like they're like that for us, and
Yes, that's a good way to put it. That's such a good way to put it. Absolutely. And
yes,
they really are reflecting. I mean, obviously, if we're not meeting their needs in some way, whether it's nutrition or what,
yes,
whatever that is, that's going to reflect as well. But they definitely are reflecting what we're missing, and what could be missing in our lives, and what we need to attend to within ourselves. It's
yes. I
amazing.
That's why I have animals.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I use my animals on a daily basis. When they come to me, I know that that is a time to take a break.
Yes,
That is a time where I need to slow down. I need to get away from the computer. If they want petting, then I need to stop and do that. And it's not easy to do that. It's not easy
no,
to
it's
do it,
not.
but I think it's something that it acts as a good reminder. They are there to tell us you need a break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that when our pets get sick, it's because, I don't want to say it's because of us. Like I don't want to say it like that, but like, does our energy can affect their health?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is not to make us feel guilty in any way.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
that's why I didn't want to say it
yeah.
like that, but yeah.
What it is that, so if our animal is ill, and this is something I've experienced myself, if we stay in sorrow, in a state of sorrow, are those lower vibrating emotions.
Yes.
So if we are sorry for them and feel pity for them, that, or feel sad and
Hmm.
grieving that they are sick, but they are still alive, this is where we create a morphic resonance, an energy bubble around us that can keep us from the state of faith.
Hmm.
And faith is in those higher vibrating emotions. It's trust,
Yes.
neutrality. So in order to have faith, you have to have those you're acting in those higher vibrating emotions. And so the animal and human body is a natural healing intelligence. It's self-directed. It
Mm.
doesn't need us to heal it. It does it on its own. And this is one of the things I studied in school, is how the neurons heal each other. And so
Love
when
that.
we, yeah, it's really neat. When we are conscious to the fact that our animals can heal itself and their
Mm.
bodies, when we are conscious to it, we are supporting that belief. We are supporting that healing process versus compared to when we are sitting in sorrow or grief. Nothing really exists until you are conscious of it.
Mm.
So when we become conscious of the fact that our bodies, including the animal body, can heal itself, that provides support through faith-based
Right.
healing. Versus if I'm worried the whole time, you will be creating a morphic resonance that can offset you being conscious to the fact that they are healing, and it can also disturb and displace the energy that is needed for them to heal.
Oh, that's so interesting. I told you that my daughter has rats,
Yes.
and she's been having rats for since the pandemic. Like, so it's been like 3 years. She's
Mhm.
like having them around
Mhm.
like all the time. And when one die, she will like take another one.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that's sweet.
so
I
they're
love
always like at least three.
that. I love that.
And she's showing them tricks and stuff. And last year we went through a phase of super high stress, and two of her rats died. I felt like it was connected, and
Yeah.
then like they grow, like I don't know, like maybe it was a cancer or something, but it
Mhm.
was like I don't know, like a big bubble of like
Like a
some,
tumor.
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. I
Mhm.
didn't go to the vet. I knew that there was something in this relationship of her being super highly stressed
Yeah.
and taking them, and like I don't know, like not pushing it on them, but like she was like trying to suit herself,
With
with
them.
the rat because they
Yeah.
were her friends,
Yeah.
right? And so two of them got super sick
Absolutely.
while that time.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because we absorb, even humans
Yes.
absorb energy. When we walk into a place and we feel a shift in energy in a room because someone's talking about us, we can tell. We can quickly tell,
Yes.
just like animals and dogs can. We can tell the movement of eyes, the movement of body movement, the energy in the room, the way it feels. So when we are in a state of stress for too long, as I said, we'll create this bubble, um, a bubble around us, and this will go anywhere that we go.
Yes.
And not only that, it has been proven that this energy will also stay in areas where you are too long in, so such as your room, your house.
Wow.
And so therefore our animals are absorbing that energy all the time.
Mm.
And again, this feeling guilty about this does not take that away. It doesn't change it. So what we need to do is I think come to a realization that um, if we can reach at least neutrality and learn to balance ourselves when we have high stress, uh, we have to take breaks from stressing. We have
Yes.
to take breaks from stressing in order to balance the energy in the home, within ourselves, our morphic resonance, and even within our own body. Our cells, will stop. Our cells will only, our body can only optimally function in healing when we're at neutrality or above.
Yeah.
So when we are stressed, uh, this is why doctors say rest and heal, because when you're not resting, it's not just physical rest, it's also stress. You don't
Yes.
want to overstress yourself. Um, and so that is a part of healing. And so yes, I do believe it's related. And this is also a great example is when you have if you've ever heard of people who are married and they have a loved one that ends up becoming severely ill, chronic illness like cancer,
Yes.
and the partner needs to take care, becomes the caretaker of that person.
Right.
A lot of the time, once the person with the chronic illness passes, so does the partner shortly after,
Yeah.
because a lot of the energy has been used and utilized towards that. And I believe that it may be different if we know how to balance more harmonious energies in. It may be different if, I don't think anything is absolute. So,
Yeah. Yeah. When my mother passed away from cancer, my father was the caregiver.
mhm.
And right after she passed, he was having like, he had two heart attacks. So he
Yeah.
didn't pass. I feel like he needed to still be there for my siblings because I have like
Mhm.
siblings. So
Mhm.
like it was like his way of processing
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of heartache. I mean, you have to caretake. That's a lot of energy. And
Yes.
then on top of that, they pass. So yes, yes. I think that
Yeah.
all definitely affects all of us, including animals.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so it makes me think of all the animals that I had. And I remember this one cat that was like super cool, like a cool cat, like a little, not fat, but like, dense, It was
Yeah.
like, it was like yeah, it was so beautiful. And I found him in the street and I gave him like single crafts like with cheese.
Yeah.
And he loved that and he
Yeah.
always came back. And I was like, can we keep him, and I was quite young, like probably like 10 or something. And we are four in my I have like three other siblings, and this cat was in this house for so long that
Mhm.
like it was my cat at the beginning, and then it was like my sister's cat, and then it was like my brother's cat and my other brother's cat. And when he died, it was still so powerful, but I feel like we didn't have any of that like tense energy around him, and he lived so long, and he was like mostly blind at the end, but he was like still chasing like rabbits and like birds and like bringing it to our home. Like he had like this way of walking because he was like blind, so he knew the street by art, like by feeling,
Mhm. Oh,
and
wow.
I can see the difference between this particular cat that was like so awesome.
Yeah.
And because like yeah, I don't know, the energy around him was always like he was so loved, and like he helped each of us,
Oh,
each
wow.
four of us,
That's so
like, and he changed name like throughout his life because like you so he
that's
ended
amazing.
up yeah, his last name was Jesus, I think, something like that. So it was like that kind of energy.
That yes, I could see that. So he had that much of an impact on y'all that he was almost like a model for how
Yes, he
to
was a
be.
legend.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a cat like that right now. I know exactly that. That there's always, yeah, there's sometimes an animal that comes down and can communicate with you so well. And
Yes.
we can communicate back, and it's interesting. I sometimes I wonder that if that's going along with the shifts in the world, are they able to communicate with us more now because we
Yes.
are shifting?
Yes. And is that different, like from one animal to another? Because I feel like with this cat in particular, like it felt so easy to just like be in a relationship with him.
Yeah.
And with I had like so many other cats, and it wasn't like that. Like this one was so special.
Yeah.
And now with my dog, like I I feel I can communicate with her, but not as deep as I could with this
Mhm.
cat. And I was
Mhm.
wondering, like, do you think it's like like we're all different like as human, right? So like sometimes you
Right.
will like connect more with one human, and then
Yeah.
not so much with another one, and you can talk better with one and not like. I was wondering, do you think it's the same with animals, like you can
Yeah.
speak better with one or
I think so. I think so. I think that some animals are going to be more expressive than others. And then,
mm,
so I think that's, for instance, my cat Cleo, she knows how to get my attention with her, just her eyes and body movement. Um, and that doesn't mean that my other cat Katrina doesn't. She does. However, I think that some animals will have maybe less of an expression, and
mm,
so it's up to us to find those subtle, very subtle changes that indicate communication or that indicate something.
yes,
Yeah. So
yes, I will be more careful about that. So how was your relationship with your animal changed after you took that class? Like, did you notice? Well, of course you noticed stuff, right?
absolutely. So the first thing is, I would have to say that my attention to them is much more is more frequent.
Hmm.
I now, as I said, I now daily try to commit 15 minutes a day to my pets,
Hmm.
in undivided attention in order to reduce grief and guilt in the future when they pass, because that usually comes down to us feeling unfulfilled
Yes.
um, once we lose them. And so it's not that we're going to avoid grief and guilt. It's good to experience it, but reduce it and not blame myself or anything.
Yes.
A lot of the regret comes from, I wish I had more time with them. And
Right.
so committing 15 minutes a day of undivided attention, turn off the phones, turn off the TV, don't have any media or music that could distract you from them,
Mm.
and give them full undivided attention of what they love to do. So that has changed in me. So being able to take those breaks, and that has helped me tremendously for my own emotional states. And as well as being able to practice energy healing uh, with my cats is pretty amazing. I love that. I love to be able to have some kind of impact and not just sit around and wait for the vets. I had
Yes.
recently, my cat Katrina jumped off her chair that she always sleeps in, and she landed wrong. Not sure what happened, but she started limping, and
Hmm.
so immediately I started doing scalar wave healing. And it took about 3 days. It was a soft tissue injury. It took about 3 days to where she stopped limping. And then soft tissue injuries can be very difficult, easily to re-injure again. And
Yes.
I noticed that she re-injured again. And I spent 2 more days on her, and she's now pretty much fully recovered.
Hmm.
And again, that goes back to simply just bringing into consciousness and having faith that her body will heal. It's not that I'm doing the healing, her body is the healer.
Yes.
And I'm just bringing conscious to the fact that it can do it. And
Yes.
I absolutely love that I can have that connection with them daily. I can connect with them in terms of how their body feels on a regular basis, just to get a baseline.
Right.
And anyone can do this. Anyone can learn to
Yes.
do this. It's all about trusting yourself,
Yes.
and just every day check into how their body feels, so that way, when an illness does come, you can quickly eliminate what is actually standing out. And it's not easy to do that. It's not something that I'm consistent with either. It's something that it has to form a habit, and it's something.
Yes.
So just I believe that I have changed in terms of being more conscious to what I can do and the habits that I can form
Yeah.
them.
And what about your anxiety? Like, how did that change?
Oh my gosh. Well, so the anxiety has dramatically reduced. It's something that, when I say reduced, it has reduced in me living in it consistently.
Yes.
So anxiety, our emotions will always be there. They are there to help us. But now I don't fully live in it. Which is amazing. I practice faith-based healing, so I know how to pretty much move the emotion out of the body quickly and recondition myself to situations.
Nice.
So, for example, um, if I have any fear around the 4th of July, 4th of July in America is when we pop
Yes.
fireworks, right? So
Yes.
I used to be very fearful. I used to feel very sorry for my cats having to endure that because our neighbors go crazy with it. And so, yeah, and so I had a lot of anxiety about that. And so
Mm,
I started working on my anxiety first because my anxiety was not going to allow them to feel safe no matter what is going on outside.
right.
And so I was able to reduce my anxiety and around that situation, around the thought of fireworks that night, those nights. And now instead we look forward to it. So I've replaced anxiety with it's just something that happens, and on those nights we kind of turn up the music upstairs, we put on a movie downstairs, and we do what we can to muffle the sounds.
Yes.
It doesn't really muffle it that much, but it's the fact that we are taking steps to put higher vibrating emotions in the home. And we constantly go and check on the cats, give them treats, kind of make it a kind of like a party for them.
Yes.
And so that changes all of my emotions around 4th of July and how horrible I thought it was for animals. Now it just is, and it's just something that I handle in a way that focuses completely on them without feeling sorrow.
I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. What is the oddest animal you've worked with?
Oh, that's a great question. I guess the oddest is probably I've spoken to a snake, and I thought that was very interesting. But maybe it was a llama. A llama. A
So
llama.
do they sound different? Like, is the snake sound like in Harry Potter? Like,
um, what's funny is they don't really sound different. So the sounds, the pictures, and the words that come in sound like I register them as the same. They can sound the same. What is different are their personalities. That is extremely different from one to another. I can feel each one of them are always usually happy no matter which one, but you can feel the you can feel when like for instance the snake, she was so wise, you could feel that. And I even asked her, I said, are you happy? Because she came from a small aquarium and now she had this big space. And she just, by wise, I meant she was very brief in what she said. She was very straightforward. And when I asked her, are you happy? She took the time to come, like, slither to me, which took a few moments. And like, she took the time to come directly up to my face and said, are you happy? And I thought that was very interesting. I thought it was very interesting because immediately I was like, oh, am I happy? What's going on with me?
No, no, wait, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to help you.
Exactly. Exactly. And that was pretty interesting because I didn't realize that they could detect that from me in these conversations.
Oh.
And so even in when I'm communicating with them, they help me learn as well. They teach me a lot. So
Oh, that is awesome.
yeah.
A snake and a llama.
A snake and a llama. Yeah. They're all so cute. They're all very, very adorable, very entertaining. Yeah. It's so much fun to talk to them. So
Oh,
much.
I guess. It's
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, that sounds super fun.
It is.
Awesome. All right. So like what is your business now? Like how do you like what's your offer? What's your offer? What how do you put yourself out there in the world? Like what
Sure. So I essentially help people influence their pets' behaviors and health by telepathically communicating with their pet to see what they how they feel about a situation.
hmm,
A lot of us, a lot of us think that that they we assume that they feel a certain way, and once we have clarity on how they feel, that this can shift the energies in the relationship. And so I offer animal communication, animal telepathy, um, uh, one-on-one sessions for that, and I also offer energy healing sessions, and that's just me by myself. All of this is remote.
right?
But if you have a chronic or any kind of illness within your pet, I do offer energy healing, and that's done kind of in the background with me, and then I communicate to the pet. I'm sorry, to the parent, what the pet felt, how they're progressing in through the treatment, and then I also offer behavior modification guidance. And that is something that I'm actually trying to build right now. It's a new service. So I offer that over a Zoom call, and I can pretty much guide you and tell you how to modify a behavior for a pet that um, where it would be done in stages.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I offer at the moment.
Yeah. So when you work with an animal like that, do you also work with the owner, with the pet parent? You know,
Uh,
like Caesar always say, like it's not the pet. Like you
yes,
gotta do with your own thing. So
yes.
how does that impact your work?
So this impacts my work when I communicate with animals. I am relaying all the information to the pet parent,
Right?
and so that's where I work with the parent. I will do a little bit of guidance there, clarification. Once they have clarification, that kind of does it itself a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
However, if there's additional questions as far as their energy, or if the animal will tell me if they're nervous about something, and usually it's pretty interesting how the pet parent will kind of pick it up right away, because a lot
Hmm.
of us know that what the real issue is, but we it's hard for us to see it because we're so
Yes.
stressed, we're convoluted with so many different emotions. And so I do provide guidance for the pet parent during the animal communication sessions, as well as after the energy healing sessions. I have a one-on-one session with the pet parent, and I communicate what again the progression of the animal and how they progress during the healing sessions, and then what they can do from then on. And as well, I'm also working on a tool that will help pet parents regulate their emotions
Hmm.
and come to a state of neutrality around different situations, including around their pet situations, using the Ho'oponopono prayer, a modified version that I created. So that will be
Awesome.
coming out soon as well.
Awesome. Ah, that's a great idea. Well, I just feel as a pet owner, like I just know how how much I impact my dog, you know, like because it's just so related and I feel like she's teaching me how to calm myself. And I remember at the beginning I was like, you know, like this was my first no, that wasn't my first big dog. I used to have a pit bull as well, but I don't know, this husky was so different from all the dogs that I had before. And I knew that I needed to calm myself. And I feel like she came into my life to teach me that, like, because
Yeah.
she's so sensitive to that. And the minute I'm just like a little hyper, like she will freak out or like jump
Yeah.
around. And so I feel like the pets are here teach us something. And
Absolutely. I agree. They are here to remind us to come back to a present state, the present
yes,
moment, because that's where they live normally. If they have not been traumatized, they are normally in the present moment, and we are not. We step out of that dimension quite frequently, just by simply listening to the news or listening to, just even doing research. We
yes,
That's why the breaks have to be implemented in a day, taking multiple breaks to come back to the present moment and taking that
yes,
time out. I believe that is what they're here to help us with, and as well as to teach us how to unconditionally love ourselves.
yes,
Yeah, so it's interesting how the most let's just say basic thought that we have, one basic thought, and we have thousands of them a day.
I know.
One basic thought about yourself or about life has multiple emotions attached to it.
I
and
yes,
and so we have no idea how much our chemicals within our body are just going and fluctuating like crazy and changing, and we get so used to it. We get so used to that fluctuation that we can't even hear ourselves, asking for playtime,
yes,
and coming back to a playful state or relaxation.
yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this interview.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, it was so fun to meet you. Of course, all your links and people can reach you. It's all going to be in the description below. Of
Okay.
course, I want people to be able to reach out to you if you have a pet, if you're looking to have one. I think if even if you're looking to have one, I think it's a great opportunity to just like be able to tune in yourself and like be very
Absolutely.
aware of which one you're gonna pick
Yes.
because it's gonna
Yes.
be
Absolutely, I agree. The kind, not every type of animal, type of breed is going to match your energy. So,
yes.
if you want to remain in relaxation and not, or kind of a slow moving pace, you probably don't want to get a high active dog that needs to exert a lot of energy. So, absolutely. Absolutely. And I hope to talk more about that on my YouTube channel as well.
Yes, yes, which will be linked also in the description below so that people can go and watch your thing. I know you're a lot on Facebook too. You do lives on Facebook, and I
Yes.
think those are pretty interesting.
Thank
So
you. Thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate that. Yes, I do
yeah,
lives every 3 days a week right now on my personal Facebook profile. So
yeah, and it's always super. Like I've learned so much from those.
thank you. Thank you. I very much appreciate that, Mariko.
Thank you. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go.
All right.
And hopefully, we're going to talk soon again.
Yes, I would love to. I would
All
love
right.
to. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thank you.